So without further ado, Stephen Fang.
Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing? Good? Well, thank you. OK, so let me begin. So again, hi, everyone. Also, hi to everyone who's tuning in from around the world. So great to be here. And my name is Fang, but I go by Steven. I'm the head of behavioral design lab at a design studio called San Studio in Bangkok, Thailand. My current work involves in 4 key pillars: behavioral science, service design, UX/UI design, and user research. Before I begin my formal presentation about behavioral science, let me actually share a personal story of mine that's related to it. Ever since I was a kid, I've always really enjoyed eating ice cream. It's my favorite dessert by far. I was right here last night and already had some finished ice cream. Despite my love for ice cream, I often have the bad habit of overeating them. And whenever there is ice cream in front of me, I can always finish it fast, regardless of the size or the portion. You see, when I eat ice cream from a typical ice cream shop, that's not a challenge for me because I can only eat 1 or 2 ice cream and I'll just go on. But the real challenge for me are those take-home ice creams, those that come in boxes of containers that we usually crave for a movie night, for example. So I thought to myself, something needs to change. What can I do, or how can I change my bad habit of overeating ice cream while still being able to enjoy them? Earlier this year, a big ice cream chain in Thailand had this incredible deal where during Earth Day, they were offering a scoop of ice cream for less than 50 cents, but you have to buy a minimum of 10 ice creams, and you have to bring your own containers since Earth Day. And well, as an avid ice cream lover myself, I went into the stores, and I basically ordered everything they had on their menu. And so I came home with 30 scoops of ice cream in my own boxes of containers. At home, when I have these in containers, I pick a scoop of flavors that I'm interested in, and then I put it in a different bowls, and I start eating it. So what is it about this in terms of behavioral science? I soon realized that it wasn't long when I was becoming more mindful with eating ice creams, but I also enjoyed eating them a lot more. To explain this, let me bring up a behavioral design framework that I'm developing at San Studio. There are over 100 behavioral principles out there, but they all can be categorized, I think, into these 4 distinct categories: simplicity, attractive, norm, and delightful. In the context of our ice cream, this can be mainly explained through the lens of simplicity and delightful. Let me show you how. Simplicity, by definition, is about making something easier to do or accomplish. But since my challenge was the overconsumption of ice cream, and my goal is to be more mindful in eating ice cream, I did the reverse of simplicity. Instead of making it easy, I'm creating frictions along my journey of eating ice cream. Instead of eating ice cream directly from the box itself, the ice cream has been chunked into smaller portions through scooping. Now, if I eat those ice cream directly from these boxes that I have here, I might still end up eating multiple of ice cream, right? Since the craving of those ice cream is really hard and it's right in front of me. So I took the step further by taking only 1 scoop at a time, put it in a separate bowl, and have it right in front of me to reduce my chances of overeating them. And you see, if I want to eat more, it's harder now because there's a friction there. If I want to eat more, I have to get up from my couch, walk to the refrigerator, take out the ice cream, and put it in a separate bowl. In terms of impact, I'm now more mindful in eating ice cream with moderate consumptions. But the experience of eating ice cream has also increased or elevated for me. This is because under the delightful categories of the SAN framework, there's a behavioral principle called the segregation effect, which basically says that positive experiences feel better when we spread them out. In our case of ice cream, since I'm only eating 1 scoop at a time, and the rest of the ice creams are being segregated or separated for the days, weeks, and months to come. And that's why I started to enjoy eating ice cream more as I'm going through this journey. OK, so that's a personal story of mine in overcoming my bad habits of overeating ice cream through behavioral science. Let's now get into the main topic of today, co-creating for a better society through behavioral science. I'll first give you a formal introduction of what behavioral science is. Then I'll share you some case studies across 3 levels. And I'll end today's talk with some key takeaways and parting thoughts. Let's first start off by defining what behavioral science is. To put it simply, behavioral science is the why behind our human actions and decision making. They are about understanding the way we think and the way we act. Behavioral science is an interdisciplinary field, a field that is right in intersections of psychology, economics, marketing, policies, and of course design, just to name a field. Behavioral science is also a growing field that, with increasing recognition and practice across various organizations of all sizes and levels across the world, including right here in Finland. So, behavioral science can be seen across these three levels: societal levels, organizational levels, and personal levels. On the societal levels, behavioral science plays a big role in driving positive behavioral change and making social impact in some of the toughest challenges that we have here in the 21st century. Everything from climate change, aging societies, to economic inequality and technical disruptions. At the societal levels, behavioral science goes beyond just merely profit. They can help you in driving customer adoptions, product strategies, innovations, as well as internal challenges like navigating organizational change. Finally, at the personal levels, apart from daily habits of the ice cream case that I've just shared, behavioral science also plays a role in things like personal health and well-being, as well as things that are, I guess, not taught often enough in schools, like personal finance, for example. To explain all the following case studies I will mention, I'll explain it through these four categories that I've just mentioned: simplicity, attractive, norm, and delightful. You just have to remember the definitions, the name, and the matching colors for it. So, simplicity is about making something easier to do and accomplish. Attractive is about designing something in a way that makes it more appealing to do so. Norms are social norms that our society is accustomed to. And finally, delightful, they're all about sparking joy in the customer's journey and elevating their experience. Let's first start exploring case studies at the societal levels. Imagine this: twice a year, millions of people in over 7 countries around the world reset their clocks, either gaining or losing an hour of their time. Many of us welcome the extra daylight, but most of us never really question why we observe this tradition in the first place. It's just something we do. For most of you guys who are from the Western countries, I think you know what I'm talking about here: daylight saving time. Have you ever wondered why does it exist in the first place, and how does daylight saving have anything to do with behavioral science? So, well, let me first start off by saying this. Daylight saving is one of the many fascinating examples of how subtle changes in our environment can directly influence our behaviors. The concept of daylight saving was first proposed by Benjamin Franklin in 1784, but it wasn't until the early 20th century when daylight saving was finally implemented on a nationwide level, in Germany being the first country to do so. The goal back then was simple: to conserve energy and shift an hour of daylight from morning to the evening. The basic principles of daylight saving is simple. It involves moving the clock forward by 1 hour during the warmer months to give us longer evenings. And during the fall or autumn seasons, we fall back and return to the standard time by moving the clock backward by 1 hour to help us get up earlier and make more use of our natural daylight. From a behavioral science perspective, the concept of daylight saving leverages the behavioral principles called the framing effect. This is because while daylight saving shifts our time by 1 hour either forward or backward, the total amount of time that we have per day is still exactly 24 hours. It's this simple psychological change of our time that make us better use of our natural daylight. And thanks to the advancement of technologies, the time in our smartphone these days, when daylight saving starts, they changes automatically, which makes the process even more automatic, hassle-free, and for the people. And last but not least, as time goes by, what used to be a novel concept becomes a norm that our society is accustomed to. Hence, when someone is asked about daylight saving, they would often say that they would often give a response something along the line that that's just the way we have always done. The impact of behavioral daylight saving comes in fourfold. Through daylight saving, we are getting more time during our day, which in turn helps with energy conservation, improving our mental health and physical health, as well as social interactions, fostering outdoors and recreational activities. Let's now move to the second one: plastic bags. Combating climate change and promoting sustainable use of our materials are among the biggest topics of our time. The stats speaks for itself. It's a challenge that requires support and unity across all levels. Today, you may be very familiar with the practice of paying a small amount of fee whenever you want to get a single-use plastic bag at places like groceries, shopping centers, or retail establishments. But have you ever wondered how and where the concept of plastic bag levy or tax came to be in the first place? So in 2002, Ireland became the first country to impose a tax on plastic bag. At the time, a small 15 cents was being charged for the single-use plastic bag at the point of purchase. And that number was increased slightly to 22 cents in 2007, and which is still a remarkably small amount. Through behavioral science, the so-called plastic bag levy can be explained by the behavioral principles of loss aversion, which in our context of plastic bag levy, it says that even a small change or a small charge for something that was once free could trigger a feeling of loss. This levy also reframes our consumers' internal thinking of single-use plastic bag from something that was once free, that comes with our purchase, to something that is more or less an unnecessary expense that we have to pay for. And as time goes by, we see a new norm being established in our societies, where we see the gradual reduction in use of single-use plastic bag and the gradual increase of recyclable bags or reusable bags. The impact of plastic bag levy was monumental. Within a year after the launch of the plastic bag levy in Ireland, the country experienced a 90% reduction in the single-use plastic bag. And the fund that were being charged with the plastic bag that people were still using single-use plastic bags were being funded to an environmental fund, which was also one of the key reasons why people in Ireland back then really supported this initiative. On a wider scale, because of the success of this program, today we have 60+ countries around the world that have implemented some form of tax levy on plastic bag at the point of purchase. And if you think about it, I think this is a small change, but the right direction towards a eventual ban or perhaps a complete phase out of plastic bags in our societies. Let's now move on to the organizational level. And I'll start with a company that's right here in Northern Europe, IKEA or IKEA. This Swedish furniture brand is famously known for letting consumers assemble the products by themselves. I'm sure you guys know of it. But did you know the idea of self-assembly of IKEA flat packs that we know of today actually came from almost by accidents, actually. So one day, Gilles Lundgren, an early designer at IKEA, he was struggling to fit a table to his chair for delivery. And it was at that moment that he thought to himself, why not take the legs of the chairs off? While Lundgren and IKEA weren't the inventor of flat pack furnitures, they popularized it and took it to a whole other level. In practice, you most likely know how it works. IKEA provides all the ready-made materials with guides on how to assemble it. But the assemble part is done by the customers. In the world of behavioral science, this concept of self-assembly became so successful that there's literally a behavioral principle that's literally named after it called the IKEA effect. By definition, the IKEA effect says that we overvalue the things that we have helped to create or build. In the context of the IKEA flat packs or self-assembly, customers play a part in assembling the finished product itself. And because of that, the magical part is that there's a certain level of, or certain elements of satisfaction that one gets when assembling their own furniture that simply can be had if one just buy a pre-assembled product. And by assembling the product yourself, people tend to value the product more and view it more favorably because of their personal involvement in the process. Apart from the IKEA effect on the customer end, the IKEA flat packs also really help on the business side of things, from saving space, reducing shipping costs, increasing modularities, as well as aligning with the grand vision of IKEA to provide good quality products at reasonable prices. There's a lot of other behavioral science aspects of IKEA that I want you to think about. Have a think about the store design layout of IKEA, their restaurants, their locations, and even their copywritings. Have a think about these other aspects of IKEA through the behavioral lens on how they are attracting more customers to come into their stores, how they are getting customers to stay longer at their stores, and of course, putting more items in the baskets for the purchase. Next, I want to share an interesting case study called the 7 Minutes Miracle from Japan. If you've ever been to Japan before, chances are that you probably have taken the Shinkansen train before. Trains in Tokyo are world-renowned for their punctuality, cleanliness, and efficiency. The company that is responsible for cleaning the Shinkansen trains in Tokyo is called Tese. And back in 2005, Tese was facing a big challenge with employee retention. The company was experiencing high turnover rate, and the job was considered low status, unappreciated, a physically demanding role with little recognition or respect. TSA management at the time responded to this problem with the usual standard way of what other managers or companies in the world would do. They increase the trainings, supervisions, checks, inspections. However, unfortunately, the job morale of the employees and the satisfaction gone even lower. So at this point, under the new leadership of Tero Yabe in 2005, he began to make some radical changes and do things that seemed to go against the industry norms. Under his vision of the Shinkansen theater, this is what he did. Imagine a world of Disneyland, but in the context of a Shinkansen train. The stage is the platform and the train itself. The performers are the cleaners. There are many changes that they have done at a time, but the biggest change that they did was the visibilities of the staff. Before, the process of staff cleaning the train was being hidden far away from the commuters. But now, the commuters are now able to see the staff cleaning the train while waiting for on the platform for the next departure. The uniform of the staff was also changed from a pastel tone color to a more bright red tone color to give the cleaners more spotlight. From a behavioral science perspective, operational transparency plays a big role here. Instead of cleaning the trains behind the scenes, TSA made the process of cleaning the train visible to the commuters. This transparency really does demonstrate to the workers' commitment for cleanliness and building trust. The passengers now feel more reassured knowing that the train that they're boarding are freshly clean. During the wait for the train departure, if you come to think about it, being able to witness a high-speed bullet train that carries hundreds of thousands of passengers per day being clean in just a few minutes is also a remarkable sight. So during that waiting time, people have something to look for. So soon enough, something remarkable began to happen. The employee retention of TSA really skyrocketed after that. And the efficiencies of the train itself, also cleaning process, was also increased from 12 to 15 minutes to now 7 minutes, hence the name, the 7 minutes miracle. Training cost has also reduced, but more importantly, due to operational transparency, the social norms the operational transparency has really fostered the social norm in the Japanese society in taking care of their own trash and leaving minimal trash everywhere that they go. Last case for the organizational level, and it's called the Keep the Change program by Bank of America. So back in 2004, Bank of America hired IDEO, the design firm, to help them come up with solutions to help attract more customers to open debit cards with them. Instead of starting the project directly from the office of Bank of America, IDEO went straight into the customer end and to find some customer behavioral insight to see what kind of new products or services that they could come up with. During their research, through in-person customer behavioral observation, they found this intriguing insight where the boomer-age women with children who hold multiple responsibilities, including household finances, often have this habit of rounding up transactions to simplify their purchasing. And it was this very behavioral insight that later got the Bank of America to launch a new service called the Keep the Change program. The way this program works is simple. It's in 3 simple steps. Enroll in the programs with the bank account, shop as you normally would, and every time that you make a purchase through the debit card, the purchase transaction will be rounded up to the next dollar. The difference of that will be transferred then to the customer's saving account. So imagine here's a list of purchases or expense that one would typically have in a week. These transactions, when you make it, are automatically being rounded up to the next dollars. And when accumulated in total, that would come up to $5.5 per week. And while that might not seem like much, if you continue to do that for the entire year, that goes up to $286. And during the tough time for someone who is struggling financially, that might just be the emergency fund for the much needed people during the tough time. The impact of the Keep the Change program can be seen across the bank itself, the customers, but also the industries as a whole. Firstly, for the bank, 2 million customers signed up within a year, and 12 million customers have been since the launch. Of those people who sign up, 60% of them are new customers, and of those customers, 99% of them choose to continue to enroll in the program. On the customer's end, since the launch of the program, $2 billion have been accumulated since launch. And the process of making personal finance and budgeting has never been easier than before, thanks to the Keep the Change program. And because of the success of this program, nowadays we're seeing similar initiatives being implemented worldwide across banks in different countries. And I think this is also another good example of human-centered design, because They really created a service innovation based on the pure customer observation that they discovered during their research. Tim Brown, the chair of IDEO, he was quoted saying that people couldn't tell us they wanted a debit card, but that they would keep the change. It didn't occur to them, but we saw how many people were rounding up to the next dollars when they paid for things. And I think this case is also a good example of something that we do as a service that can both benefit the business, but also the consumers themselves as well. OK, so onto the personal level. I've already shared my personal story in regards to ice cream, so I'll share one more here today. I have a friend who is a financial advisor who offers personal financial advices to people. One day, she was looking through the bank statement of a client to see how she could help improve her client's personal finance. As she was scanning through the bank statement page by page, a trend soon emerges. She noticed that her client was spending way too much money on clothing. So she realized that if she were to help improve her client's personal finance, this is an area where she can make the biggest impact. And after some thorough thinking and creative exploration, she eventually came up with this clever idea, which I would call it as the hangers rules. The way the hangers rules is simple. The number of hangers you have in your closet is the maximum number of pieces of clothing that one can buy. So it's a simple psychological reminder that not only helps us in shopping more mindfully, but it also helps us to shop more wisely. Because imagine yourself with the hangers rules. The next time you saw a new piece of clothing when you go to a shopping center and wanting to buy them, instead of making an impulsive purchase, the hangers rules are there to stop you for a moment and to help you think critically whether that piece of clothing is something that you really want to buy and whether that piece of clothing is worth the limited number of hangers that you have in your closet because of the hangers rules. So today, we have gone through a couple of behavioral design case studies across 3 levels. I guess I'll wrap this up with a couple of key takeaways. Key takeaway number 1, small changes, big impact. Behavioral science is often these small and subtle changes that really create a big impact. You've seen it with various case studies that we have discussed today. 1 scoop of ice cream at a time, for my personal story of ice cream. 1 hour change to make better use of our natural daylight for the case of daylight saving. A few cents charged for the request of a single-use plastic bag to reduce these plastic bags in our societies. And of course, a simple psychological reminder like the hangers rules to help us shop more wisely. These are all small changes that really go far. Key takeaway number 2, behavioral observation. Us designers already know the value of human-centered design, but next time, if you want to up your game further, when you're doing customer research, user research, and whatnot, try to look into your users from a behavioral perspective. Look through the behavioral lens and really understand critically what kind of behaviors they're doing and what they're thinking. And through behavioral science, then you can come up with perhaps certain insights that you may have never thought of. You've seen it today with the case of IKEA. Their self-assembled flat packs came almost by accident through real-life observation, real-life experiences. You've also seen it with the case of Bank of America's Keep the Change program, where, it was because of real-life customer behavioral observation that they brought them the behavioral insights, which later became the key ingredient for the Keep the Change program. Key takeaway number 3, change starts with you. Regardless of whoever you are right now or whatever you are doing, whether you have big dreams to change the world, whether you have something that you want to propose, a new idea perhaps in your organizations, or you simply want to convince an idea or a change to your friends and family on why is it good for them. If you want to do all of that, you have to start with yourself first, because change really starts with you. Change starts from the within, and then you can change the world. Today, we have talked about a lot of behavioral principles and case studies I have mentioned. At Sun Studio, we are also developing a behavioral design card where there are over 100 behavioral principles in this deck with over 300 case studies that is designed in a way to be practical and easily understandable by even the beginners. So the behavioral design card is currently more than halfway through a development, and they are scheduled to be launched in early 2025. If you're interested in learning more about this behavioral design card, you can feel free to scan on the code here to sign up. And if you want to see the early prototype version of these, I also have them here. So if you want to see some of these cards in person, just come up to me today or tomorrow, and I'll explain it to you. Finally, if you want to connect with us, here are some of the channels to do so. I also write a small behavioral science newsletter called Signal Change, where I basically discuss and explain all the concepts of behavioral science in a simple way that anyone could understand. So if you're interested in reading more about them, feel free to scan so. OK, you have 8 more minutes, and I have a fun behavioral challenge that I want you to think about. Do you know what this is? Yeah? OK, that's great. So, well, unless you have been living under a rock for the past few weeks, chances are that you probably have seen this hippo somewhere on the internet and probably for the entire day. So let's talk about this hippo. Her name is Mudeng. She's a pygmy hippo, a 2 months old, that is currently residing in the province of Chonburi in Thailand. And she's been everywhere. The reason why she's becoming so famous or becoming the latest internet sensation is just simply because she's being downright adorable. And as mentioned, you may have come across her recently in some of your local news medias. The Time magazine also wrote an article about her with the title, "She's an icon, she's a legend, and she's a moment." And you may also have seen pictures of baby hippo Mudeng across several social media memes as well. And you also see various organizations jumping on the trend to put her as part of the marketing campaign. So you see here, Heyday, for example, is a game created by Supercell, which is a gaming company based right here in Finland. And they now have Mudeng right in their games. You also see it in sports. And you also see it being promoted by Figma, the design tool that we all know about. OK, so here's a challenge for you. Because of her increasing popularities, the zoo that she is currently residing in, before there were about, let's say, 800, 900 attendees, never more than 1,000. But because of her surge in popularities, today, on the weekends, the numbers of zoo visitors can go up to 1,000 or even 10,000. I think that's the numbers that you're looking at. So where is traffic going into the zoos? And hundreds and thousands of people a day just there to get a glimpse of her at the zoos. And because of her surge in popularities, while the majority of zoo visitors are really respectful to the animals and I guess the environment in general, there may be some minorities of zoo visitors who may conduct in certain behaviors that are not really respectful. In the context of Mudeng, there may be some visitors who I guess may be throwing some small objects or perhaps water at a hippo to get her attention, basically. And obviously, that's not the best thing to do, since the animals themselves also needs time to rest. So I want you to think about this from a behavioral science perspective. How might we foster respectful behaviors in zoo visitors towards the animals and their environment? And with that being said, thank you so much.
All right.